these are our least owned players in fantasy football in 2023. So you could use that as saying, yeah, maybe we're avoiding these guys. Actually, we definitely are, because these are the guys we have almost no shares of. These videos always get so dramatic comments. It's the worst list, and you guys are missing out. Look, we get it. These are just guys that we're avoiding at ADP. We're going to go over some today.
Let's just prepare you emotionally. This is going to be just a little bit of a negative video because
we're avoiding them. We have to tell you why we're out on them at price. We have to tell you,
guys.
And we have to tell you the research we've done. We'll do 3 at a time here. I'll start with the first one. Wow, I got a crazy 3.
we have to get all the hate.
I know.
I'm so excited.
We have been out on Tony Pollard at price for the entire offseason. We will continue to be out on Tony Pollard at price.
Gotten worse and worse.
So what's Tony Pollard now on underdog?
Running back 6 ahead of Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, and Josh Jacobs.
The reason we are out is because I'm taking Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs. Heck, even maybe, I'm definitely Joe Mixon I would rather have, and a whole 10 spots later. Najee I'd rather have. There are just guys I'd rather have that are even around him, but after him. So why would I draft him at price? I don't think he's going to offer that Christian McCaffrey type production that some people are expecting from him. I don't really know where we're getting that, but yes, you could say
because he's proven that he's elite, right?
Yeah. So that's the problem. Look, we'd be more than willing to take our L on Tony Pollard if he does come out and produce like this, and we will.
Yeah, we will.
But we're avoiding him at price.
Got to call your shot.
T. Higgins is another guy we're calling our shot on. When you look at T. Higgins in fantasy football rankings, he's going around guys like Devonta Smith. I'll take Devonta. Calvin Ridley. I'll take Calvin Ridley. Guys like DK Metcalf. I'll even take DK, but Amari Cooper. I'm taking Amari. I'm taking Debo. I'll take Keenan Allen even. I'll take Christian Watson. So there are a lot of guys in that range we'd rather have over T. Higgins. And look, we've seen T. Higgins over the last couple of years is finishing as a mid to low end wide receiver 2. He's being drafted as a high end wide receiver 2. So essentially people are saying, okay, he's going to play every game. He's going to stay out of injury trouble, and he's going to do what he theoretically could have done last year that everybody likes to point out. But with T. Higgins, again, there are guys in that range that we like better. And so we've largely avoided him. And he is, he's what, the 3rd wide receiver 2 off the board?
Yeah.
But they're all going the same range. So, and the last one, I know, he's big. He's athletic. He plays for the Seahawks. DK Metcalf. Look, the reason we are avoiding DK Metcalf, again, he's going exactly right behind T. Higgins. So all those guys I just listed, we'd rather have over DK. Not to mention, we don't think DK is the wide receiver 1 in his offense. We think that's Jackson Smith-Njigba, and we do think Jackson Smith-Njigba is a better wide receiver than DK Metcalf. So something has to give.
You don't know ball. You suck, dude.
Everybody wants to point to DK's targets, but you do have to look at his catch rate, which is significantly low. He's not always been the best at turning targets into catches.
Because his target quality, he doesn't get very catchable passes because he's a deep threat. He's a deep threat.
And that's, so look, yes, he's going to sustain some production because of his deep threat ability and because of his touchdown ability. We understand that. However, at price, we don't like DK Metcalf, so we've been largely avoiding him. The next guy on this list actually is going to really surprise you.
Yeah, this will surprise you guys because
we didn't know this until we looked and we were like, uh-oh.
Yeah, we've been big Jamir Gibbs truthers through and through over at the Dynasty Domain channel.
Even here, though,
we've spoken very highly of him because we do think he offers more upside than other people have stated. But he's kind of just been pushed up boards as Josh Jacobs has fallen, as Jonathan Taylor has fallen, as Breece Hall and Ramondre Stevenson have fallen because of situations going on in their offenses, respectively. And Jamir Gibbs is now at running back 10. And look, with him,
and that's his ceiling is absolutely an RB1.
His ceiling is definitely a running back 1. But again, this is more of a price thing where he's going into a season where, yes, he is a rookie running back. I think I'm less worried about him being a rookie and more worried about what is the split really going to look like between him and David Montgomery when it comes to the red zone specifically. And the guys around him are bell cow running backs. And not only that, but they're veteran running backs who haven't shown any signs of declining yet.
And are the unquestioned running back 1s in their offense. Where with Jamir Gibbs, you do have David Montgomery, who they just paid.
If I were ultimately to make a prediction this season about Jamir Gibbs and the split between Montgomery and Gibbs, I would say Gibbs is the dominant, highest producing running back in that offense. Montgomery gets significant carries, but ultimately it doesn't really impact Jamir Gibbs because of his receiving upside and how good he is as a true receiver. Being said, we just have found ourselves not taking him. And let us know, honestly, with this one especially, let us know what you guys think about Jamir Gibbs in the comments because we see both sides. But again,
we're
this is
super
just
high on him.
This is just how the cards have fallen. We're just not taking him. We just aren't. There's just something in us that,
even though we like him and we would tell you that
Yeah.
he has this upside, like we saw it and we're like, we have to tell him.
makes me a little uneasy taking him there for sure. Especially like if you get Bijan Robinson in round 1, I'm not taking another rookie running back round 3 and Jamir Gibbs.
Diversify the risk.
No. So next guy is going to be Travis Etienne, and we're definitely a lot more sure here with Etienne. Doug Peterson offenses only give their lead running backs the ball about 170 times a year. And
That's from research.
that's from actual research that we've done.
We made that research.
We did that research.
There you go.
Yeah. And look, with Etienne, his receiving upside, who? Like it just hasn't really showcased itself yet. Yeah, maybe he could take a little bit of a step
There's some
up in the
upside,
receiving
but
game.
again, it's not proven upside yet.
And Tank Bigsby, honestly, training
Looks
camp
pretty good.
hype, preseason hype, sure, but he's been balling out.
Which
man.
we have to. I mean, if Tank Bigsby comes out and actually takes something from him, we were wrong on that.
Yeah.
So
when you're looking for upside, when 90% of fantasy football is luck and upside, why would you take Travis Etienne?
he's being drafted as a running back one
Very,
right now.
very
so.
limited upside. Next guy is going to be Kenneth Walker, and this is kind of the same situation where at price, we're just avoiding him. Running back 17. Yeah, I think there's some upside with Kenneth Walker, but again, it's going to be a capped ceiling where we really don't know. Ultimately, we don't know who the lead back in Seattle is going to be. Is it going to be Walker? Is it going to be Zach Charbonnet? At that point,
They're both second-round
take
picks.
the cheaper one. Take the one that's going multiple rounds after Kenneth Walker. I'll take Zach Charbonnet for
That has
sure.
PPR
If
upside.
it was the other way, if Zach Charbonnet was going at running back 17 and Walker was going at running back 30, I'd be smash drafting Kenneth Walker all day. This is just how the cards have fallen. Not taking Walker at price. A little bit worried about that offensive situation for sure. You got Ayuk.
Brandon Ayuk.
You're getting all of the crap, man.
I know.
I'm so
I
excited.
know. And the reason we're out on Brandon Ayuk is not because we doubt his receiver talent, because we do think he's probably the most talented pure wide receiver in San Francisco. We do think Deebo Samuel's the better fantasy asset. We think he showcased that, and he was signed to an extension for a reason. And we're predicting a bounce
No,
back.
he's never going to produce again.
I know. We're predicting a bounce back year for Deebo Samuel. That's essentially the gist of it. There's not much more there with Brandon Ayuk.
He won't be wide receiver 3, but he has the upside to be a low end wide receiver 1.
with
Deebo
Deebo
does.
Samuel. Yes.
Yeah, Deebo, not Ayuk.
Not Ayuk, yeah. And J.K. Dobbins is next. And J.K. Dobbins, it depends on what league you're playing in. If you're playing on ESPN, he's a great value. If you're playing in Underdog, Sleeper, not really. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's coming off an ACL. Although he is a year removed, he did have cleanup surgery and struggled with it all through last year. He is playing in a new offense. The Baltimore Ravens, honestly, I do think the new offense helps him. That being said, we do think there's enough risk with J.K. Dobbins to where we just haven't drafted him. I'm not super out on J.K., honestly.
There are formats where I am very, very comfortable taking Dobbins, but at price on Underdog and at price on Sleeper, I'm not as much of a fan of his price as I am for him on ESPN. If you're looking at ESPN, his price is literally half of what it is on Sleeper. If you can get him like 8th, 9th rounds on ESPN, please take him there.
So with Alexander Madison, who's next, I mean, this just comes down to there's really a lot of guys that are a lot safer around him. We don't know what we're going to get with Alexander Madison, the workhorse back, or if he will be the workhorse back. I mean, I would not be surprised if one of those other backs came in and took that spot. This is just risky to me when you're drafting him around guys like Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, Damian Pierce, Dobbins even. I would take Dobbins pretty easily over Madison. Pretty easily.
Yeah. Miles
Sanders is going after him. Javonte Williams is still going as the RB23. James Cook, I'm more comfortable with the RB24. So there's just a lot of guys that are safer around Alexander Madison, and we just don't want that to have that risk on our fantasy team when the upside is that little. I don't think he has crazy high ceiling.
No. Our next guy is going to be Darren Waller, and Darren Waller has now found himself up to tight end 4. And there's a lot of hype on Waller going into the training camp in the preseason, and now because of the targets that he got in a preseason game from Daniel Jones, everyone's just like, oh my gosh, he's going to be an elite producing tight end. The sky's the limit for this guy. When he's playing, sure.
Yeah.
The question is not, can he have that upside? The question is, can he be on the field, guys? We're
not predicting injury either. We're analyzing the last 2, 3, 4 seasons.
We have got to define what we're saying when we're accounting for injury in his price. When you are taking a player at their ceiling, at their production ceiling, which is tight end 4 for Darren Waller, that really is going to be his ceiling. He's not outproducing Kelsey, Andrews, or Hawkinson. You're taking him at the highest he can produce when he's been hurt for the last 2 years. We do not predict that Bijan Robinson is going to tear his ACL week 7. We didn't do that last year with Breece Hall. It sucked when it happened. You shouldn't have predicted it. If you did, you got lucky. You don't predict injuries for guys that have shown no sign ever of being injured. Ever. You do account for their past injuries in their current price when they've had past injuries. Darren Waller's he's missed 15 games over the last 2 years. 15. And having actual relevant production, really, the last few games of last season. And yeah, he looked good. He always looks good when he's on the field. When's he on the field? George Kittle, yes, his injury struggle should be baked into his value, which is why he's not tight end 2. He misses a few games a year, but he does play, and he plays when it matters, even more than Darren Waller. George Kittle should not be going behind Darren Waller when he's actually been an elite producing tight end 1 over the last 2 years.
You spent 2 minutes on Darren Waller. We got to go.
Yeah, I know. Cam Akers is our next guy, who we've talked plenty about on this channel. But look, he had a couple good games last year at the end of the season when the Rams were playing for nothing, and they sucked, and Baker Mayfield sucked. Cam Akers is going to get a bell cow workload probably because he's pretty much the only guy left in that offense. Yeah. But his upside is severely capped, severely limited. Elijah Moore, the probably wide receiver 2 in Cleveland, but at his price, we're just not really excited about the upside that he offers. Yes, we were really excited about him as a rookie and what he did then, but
I mean, he's going around Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Brandon Cooks, Sky Moore, Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman, Treylon Burks, Romeo Doubs. There's a lot of guys there.
I think there's other guys there that offer more upside and more consistent targets.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. Yep. All right, Khalil Herbert's going to be next. And look, we've long been Roschon Johnson fans, so we think Roschon takes that RB1 role. And in fact, he got reps with the first team in their last preseason games. So it may happen quicker than we thought with Khalil Herbert. Everybody wants to point to the efficiency he had backing up David Montgomery. Backups converted to starters aren't as efficient as they were when they were backup. That's pretty proven at this point. Yeah. Drake London is going to be next. Drake London's not a guy we're touching a lot of because he is playing on the most run-heavy offense in the NFL, and he's playing with Desmond Ridder as his quarterback, and he's playing alongside Kyle Pitts. So one of them is probably going to have to not have a super good year. We're not drafting either of them for the most part, but at price, we're probably drafting more Kyle Pitts than we are Drake London because Drake London's going as the wide receiver 24 around Mike Williams, DeAndre Hopkins, Terry McLaurin, Brandon Ayuk, Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson. But there are lots of guys in the 30s that I like a lot more than I do Drake London, honestly.
At price, he's not terrible, but again, there's just guys around him that offer more upside. I think where London is being priced is around where he's probably going to finish.
Calvin Ridley is officially a second-round pick now on Underdog Basketball Drafts, a second-round pick. So at that price, I think you have to understand, for us to spend a second-round pick on Calvin Ridley, who's not played in the NFL for 2 years, instead of spending it on a running back like Josh Jacobs or Jonathan Taylor, it just feels silly to us. So we're going to take running back a lot of times in that range.
Yeah. Chigo Okonkwo, the next guy who I don't think ever will understand why he's going at tight end 16. He was going as high as tight end 14, and people are really bullish on this guy in the Tennessee offense where they have Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, and Treylon Burks. Like, what volume is Chig really going to get there?
Not to mention a run-heavy offense with Ryan Tannehill at the quarterback position.
No, I'm just not seeing the upside there at all. I'd much rather take my shot on a guy like Gerald Everett, who's tied to Justin Herbert in an elite producing offense.
There you go, yes.
Next guy is going to be Greg Dulcich. And yes, there could be a bit of an argument to be made now that you could be more excited about Dulcich because of the new Jerry Jeudy
I would be more
news.
likely to draft him now.
I would for sure, but again, this is just another situation where you saw him flash last year and you're kind of assuming that he's going to make that next jump to maybe even potentially an elite producing tight end. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll take the safer option there.
Yeah.
Next guy is Dak Prescott. Upside, really? No upside at his current price. We know what we're getting with Dak. If you're taking him as your lead quarterback, your quarterback one that you're starting every single week in fantasy, like, you're getting the worst of the top 12 quarterbacks.
But I'd rather have Tua, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Rodgers, Goff, Wilson.
Yep.
So, honestly,
So
because they just have higher upside. Yeah. All right, last 4 guys here. Kenneth Gainwell. Look, Kenneth Gainwell, between Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift, we're not really touching a whole lot of the Eagles' backfield, so that's why Rashad Penny is going to be the next guy as well.
I'm taking Swift, but
Swift we're taking a little bit of, but with Penny and Gainwell, we'll not try to bet on one of those guys, and we'll just avoid them altogether and go for a backfield we have a better idea of how it's going to sort out. Devon Chain is next. Devon Chain hasn't beat anybody out in camp. He's returning punts and kicks. He is, yes, going to be a change of pace back, but not in a high volume role by any means. He's going to be more of a gadget guy. Raheem Mostert, the Ahmed guy, actually even has outperformed him so far.
Yeah.
Not to mention he's already hurt, which a lot of people want to say, well, it's not because he's small, but it is because he got picked up and body slammed because he's 140 pounds. So that's exaggeration, I know. He's just not a guy that we're expecting, especially at price. Like I won't spend too long on this, but Devonta Chain, when you're looking at his price, I can't even find him. He's so high. Where is he? Devonta Chain.
Yeah, he's
Chain.
currently going at running back 43 around McKinnon, Jamal Williams, Damien Harris.
Mostert is going behind him, which is weird. Roshan Johnson's going behind him. Singletary's going behind him. Tajay Spears,
And again, to be fair, once you get to the running back, to the 40s range at running backs, this is where you're shooting for game-to-game upside, where if you have to plug them in at some point, will they offer a week of, a few touchdowns? And those are the guys where you're really looking for the ones that are going to get red zone usage specifically. And Devonta Chain is tiny. Give me a big body guy like Damien Harris, who has had a history of producing only touchdowns and in an offense that's going to be in the red zone a lot. McKinnon, look what McKinnon did last year at price. I'm a huge fan of that. So,
Keenan Allen's the last guy, and with Keenan Allen, it comes down to we're a little bit worried about his ability to stay on the field. And we like Quentin Johnson, the addition there. We're drafting a lot of Quentin Johnson, honestly. So with Keenan Allen, this could be one that bites us. If Justin Herbert has the year I think he will, this could bite us, honestly.
It could.
So I like Keenan Allen better than what my exposure says. So, all right, do us a huge favor. If you want to join the community, if you want our full fantasy football rankings, access to our exclusive videos, our exclusive articles, all of our databases, our Discord, you get in messages with us so we can help you with your drafts. Flockfantasy.com/domain. You have to use code domain. When you use code domain, you get 30% off the entire site. And when you use code domain, you get our exclusive. So, like I said, flockfantasy.com/domain.
Code domain.
Domain. And if you haven't already, make sure you drop a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.